Welcome to the program. My name, as you know, is Sarah Bryant, and I am your guide at DBA Platform, where it is our mission to get you found. And today we are talking all things local SEO, local presence. You're here because you know how much the world has shifted to digital online, and further, how much more importance the local or location proximity has when people are searching online. It's no surprise, but that world is changing all the time. We're going to be talking about some recent and big changes that are happening in that world today. I want to let you know a few things, what we're going to see in the agenda today. First of all, there's some big changes for the DBA platform. We sort of soft announced that our DBA platform 3.0 was launched this month. And I'm going to take you through the new features and a little bit about that. And of course, feel free to ask questions if you have them. You may already be seeing those things. And then our expert Yan has been digging into another thing you might be super familiar with is this recent Google Core update. And it does affect local SEO. So Yan's going to give us an explanation on that. There has not been a lot out there in terms of explanation as to how this new core update might be affecting things. So Yan really dug in and took a look, and he's got some great things to share with us today. And then, of course, this whole format that we do in our webinar is all about local presence optimization. So we're going to dig in with that in our Q&A. Before we talk about that topic, I just wanted to remind everybody that if you come out of any of these webinars with questions, and I know we don't even always get to all the questions that people have, we'll take as many as we can at the end of the program, but we do host some one-on-one opportunities for you to get your questions thoroughly answered, whether it's a tech question or you just want to do a platform walkthrough, if you want to see what the new DBA 3.0 is all about, or near me metrics. We have someone available to walk you through that once or twice a month. So you can sign up on the website for a time and just join. These guys, they host those rooms and they're in there. And a lot of times they are just working on other projects because nobody shows up to bother them during their office hours. So please, any questions that you have at the end of today that are raised, go straight to the website, get on office hours, and please schedule some time with our staff who will be happy to help you with whatever you're working on. Okay, before we get into what is new, let's make sure that everybody knows where that question and answer feature is in your Zoom controls. So if you look at your Zoom panel, you will see that you have a Q&A box. If you launch that right now, you'll get a little pop-up window and you'll be able to see the questions that other people are asking. And the reason that you want to see that is because if you upvote those questions, then those questions will be taken first at the Q&A portion of the show, and then you'll get your questions answered. If you have questions, please pop them in there. The other thing is that if you ask questions in there, like while Yan is explaining something, if your question is really pertinent, clarification to what he's talking about, I'll interrupt him with that question for you so that we can have a good understanding going through all of the sections today. And I want to introduce to you Gilbert, who is our local SEO expert at DBA Platform. He's also the inventor of Local Falcon. By the way, he has some cool updates about the Local Falcon platform for us today too. He's one of only a handful of Google Platinum product experts in the world. And of course, the creator of the grid tracking system that everybody uses. And he's a wealth of information, and he is the guy that everybody goes to when they can't figure things out. So as an example of that, this new Google update that was launched that in the last couple of weeks, when nobody knew what impact it was having, it was Yan who sat down and went through and experimented and sat down at his desk. He's going to tell you more about that process, but we love to have him. You've got a great opportunity in front of you today to ask the questions that you probably can't get answers to anywhere else, including Google. So let's get started and in describing some of the changes that have happened recently with some of these platforms. So DBA 3.0 just rolled out, and now this was really, I would say, probably 18 months to 2 years in the works. It's a major enhancement to the DBA platform. We have talked about parts of it over time. The main things that you're going to see when you now go into the platform are an enhanced workflow efficiency. So for the user experience, what you're getting is like the ability to see the things that you want to see faster, better, and to be able to take action on them immediately. The platform itself was really rebuilt to be more robust, more scalable for some really big things that we have, some partnerships that we have going on, and some big plans rolling out new features in the future for SEO and for ads. And as you know, there's been a lot of talk lately. Google's not the only guy in the game anymore. Microsoft, Apple, a lot of the social platforms are getting involved in inventory and locality. So it's getting really interesting in the ways that DBA platform is growing. And then we have some data sync control, which I'll show some of that, and just greater flexibility in the way that you view, manage, and replicate your content. A lot of the things that you guys have asked for over the years went into DBA 3.0. So I'll point out a couple of things. There are probably, I don't know, hundreds of changes in the platform in 3.0. So one of the new views that you get related to your content is you'll see it in posts, photos, reviews, other places where you're looking at content. Now you have the option to sort things. So for instance, where it used to be that you could only look at your posts based on the creation date, now you can look at them on a calendar, you can look at them on a scheduling list, you can look at them in the order that they were created, you can look at them in more visual options, so that's kind of cool. We also have some bulk optimization capability. So this makes it so that if you're making content and you're scheduling it out, it just makes it a lot easier to like optimize several content objects at once, schedule them, pick and choose which ones you want to schedule and schedule in bulk. So you'll see a lot more of these kinds of features in 3.0 where you get choices, you get to pick what you want to include in the set that you're working on, and then you get to kind of mass replicate or bulk optimize things. We've also got, let's see, reschedule and copy. So you can reschedule and copy pieces of content much more easily. A lot of people would say like, hey, how can I reschedule, set things up to just go over and over? And we had some capability for that before, but now that is enhanced. The next one is a really cool one, and this one is going to be built on quite a bit. There's plans to make this one even more robust. And this is your quick actions. So quick actions are things that you want to do all the time, like scheduling a photo, responding to reviews. These are things that you have to go and do. And so your quick actions is a slide out where you can just go directly to those things. Future enhancements of that are going to be giving you like some dashboards where you can see things where certain locations might not be completely optimized, or if you have inventory and there's a syncing problem or a feed problem, you'll be able to see those things instantly and then be able to actually click on them and just fix them. So a lot more efficiency in terms of doing the things that you want to be able to do by the user role that you are. Let's see, we also have, so this one is pretty technical, but it was really important to a lot of people. So this one, the group information sync from Google, has to do with picking who you want from grouping your locations, and then being able to sync them and choosing which ones you want to sync and which ones you want to like auto import and which ones you don't want to, and which ones you want to have syncing regularly and which ones you don't. And this is because of a transparency and privacy thing that a lot of people have asked about and wanted to have, is just more ability to do further refinements to the groups and only do the actions on the ones that you're trying to do actions on. So that's kind of a nice feature. And then I will let Jan talk about Local Falcon has also gotten some new utilities that are pretty cool. So I'll let Jan take over and tell us what's going on with this Looker Studio template gallery.
Sure. Yeah. Thanks, Sarah. So Local Falcon has basically upgraded the reporting functionality. It's really important to make the reporting efficient and easily, you can look at it so that you can send it out to clients. There's lots of different reasons why people want the reporting a certain way. So now what they've added is the ability to basically in 3 clicks, you can send any report to Looker Studio, or they used to be Data Studio, and so that you can send it to clients or manipulate the information, connect it to your Search Console or Analytics or any other numbers that you want. And so it all connects together through Looker Studio. And it's very simple. There's templates. So this is just a scan report detail. That's how it looks like. But there's basically every report in Local Falcon. You can now just basically click, and it's sent. And then you can share that link out to other people. It's really good. If you want to build your own custom reports, you can still do that. But that can take you an hour to build a custom report. And so we've felt the need to just basically make a very simple way to be able to create those reports without having to understand all the technicalities of Looker Studio, basically. And so I'll just continue with my normal stuff. Every month I go through the new categories in the Google listing space. And this month we have orthopedic supply store, financial advisor, religious lodging, pilgrim hostel, and mohel. If you're not sure what that is, you could look that one up. Financial advisor, I'm not sure it's new. Sometimes Google changes a name. There's already a category for financial planner. I'm not sure the difference between financial advisor and financial planner. But when you do see some new things like that, that's the kind of thing that I would, if I had a client, I would test. I would say, well, which one is matching better on certain words? Should I put primary category as financial advisor, or should I put financial planner? It could really make a difference. And so a lot of testing is necessary to find that out, but it can make a difference in the long run to really choose your categories properly. And you're going to see why even more so when I continue my presentation here. These were all actually added 2 days ago. So you're getting the latest information here. So you get to jump on your competitors by using the best categories you could possibly use for your listings. And I also always report on the Google Business Profile bugs. And right now there's none. There's no system-wide problems. There's always little bugs that will affect the user here and there. And I see that all the time on the support forum when I'm helping out there. But at this point, there's no overarching mega bug that's affecting millions of users type of thing. So that's always good news.
That's new. That's a new one. No bugs.
Well, last month there was no big bugs either. So which is strange because usually there's always something. That's why I always have this slide, because there was always something to report on. But the last 2 months there was nothing. So usually things break when they start upgrading things. But so they're probably just tweaking things in the back end, and they didn't break anything. So maybe the devs are getting better. Who knows? The Google Broad Core update. So this is a huge update. It happens a couple times a year usually, and it affects a lot. It affects the organic rankings. It affects the local rankings. Google gave us a date. They started the 15th. It usually takes 2 weeks to roll out. This is for the organic. I can tell you that the local update section started toward the end of March. So if you're looking at your ranking reports and you're seeing swings in the last week of March, that's when the local part of this update was rolling out, and there's going to be a lot of fluctuation. So if you ran a scan, let's say you're running a local Falcon scan and it ran on the 23rd of March, and you see a lot of movement, it might shift back because during the update there's a lot of fluctuations. And so don't just take it, you're taking snapshots. So maybe you want to rerun the scans if you saw an odd scan at the end of March, and not necessarily make decisions based off of one snapshot in the middle of an update fluctuation type of thing. But here it is. Google has a page that tells you all the updates, and I've linked it here. But you can do a search the Google update page, and then you'll find this page, and you can see the information. And so what did I find? So I have a client that has hundreds of listings, and they really got nailed bad. You can see on the right-hand side the drop in the visibility score. Basically, they were ranking ones everywhere for this keyword, and now they're ranking 10, 12, 15 spot, like basically all green to all red. So they're having a horrible time. And so it's my job to find out why this is happening, because it's millions of dollars potentially of loss if this continues. So we have to figure out what's going on. So basically, I go into every single one of these scans and I look, I see who's up, who else is down besides them, who went up. So I'm doing my analysis. And so I picked out a few examples to try to make it more easily understood. So, and I give you a little bit of my process, so you can do this for your own clients as well. It's not just here's the answers. We want to give you the tools to be able to make all these decisions, and that's what DBA does. It gives you all the tools to be able to make changes when you need to make changes. So the specific keyword in question was electronics store, and you can see the business in question is in red. It dropped basically to nothing. And another store also went down, which was also a larger store. And the one that went up is this green one, which was Northern Computer. And you can see I looked at these listings, and it's the same pattern across all these listings. A lot of the listings that spiked up are very weak listings. They have no reviews. They either have no website or a really crappy website. If you want to laugh, go to this website, nci1.com, and you'll laugh. It's like 30 years old. It's like from the beginning of the internet. And it's not even claimed. So it's a business, it's probably closed. Google, the algorithm probably just created this listing because it had some record of it, and sometimes Google does that. No reviews, low quality, unclaimed, like it's garbage, it's weak, and it's spiked up. And this other store that it's beating out is like a huge mega store with SEO, everything, right? It's crazy. Here's another example, a different, it's the same keyword, electronic store, but a different location, same thing. The red went down. Who went up? So who went up was Fido North, a different Northern Computer, and a Daily Dash. You can see that they're very weak listings. So unclaimed, two of them are unclaimed. Some of them don't have any reviews. There hasn't been any, like I've checked all the images, I've checked the website, there's nothing. It has nothing to do with website or reviews or anything. So what's the commonality between the hundreds and hundreds that I've checked really is the primary categories. So we're looking at the primary categories as being the source of the shift here. And so basically what I'm suggesting is that Google turn the dial up on the primary category ranking factor. So if you're looking around for electronics, now Google is saying, well, you have electronics store as a primary keyword, as the primary category, you're going to get boosted up. But if you notice what else got boosted up was computer store and internet shop. And so, but I'm looking for electronics. So basically what Google has done is it's matching on a broader set of categories. So electronics is related to computers. So now whoever has a computer store as their primary category will also get a boost. Now we're the AdWords people will understand because it's a broader match. The broader match increased as well as the strength of all of it increased. So that's my findings. And of course, I'm only one person. I did check hundreds of listings to find this out, but there might be other patterns. But I haven't seen any.
If we have clients, how do we see if they were affected by this, and then what do we do? What do you suggest we should do? Like, should we check primary, categories and make sure that they're in alignment? What do you think?
So this update, as far as I see, is going to affect businesses that are more general. So in this case, my client that went down was a department store. So they have department store as their primary listing category, I mean, and then they have furniture store, electronics store, baby clothes, and as their secondary categories. And so there's not really anything that they can necessarily do to fight this when Google turns the dial. There might be adjustment, and we're going to have a conversation with them, obviously, to figure out what to do. But in general, if you're a very focused, if you're an electrician or a plumber or a physiotherapist, or even if you're a chain, you have lots of listings for those kind of things, you're already specialized as your primary category. So you're not going to see a dramatic decrease because of something like this. It's if you were more of a general department store with lots of secondary categories that are kind of more specific, that's where you're going to see. So to be able to see that, basically just go to Local Falcon and check your graphs. You'll see these drops in the graphs. You'll see the numbers like this when you check your self scores. And then, if there's a drop more than 40%, then I would poke into there and see what's going on. Sometimes it's a one-off, but when you have lots of listings, you can see patterns like I discovered here. So there are strategies you can potentially do, but it's going to be unique to each individual. Like in this case, I would say is maybe, more listings with specific primary categories are going to be better. But it's a little bit early to say, go ahead and create, 5 different listings with different primary categories. But if you have let's say you're a lawyer or dentist or something that you can have practitioner listings, it might be worthwhile to create or take a look at those practitioner listings to see if so that you can get a more specific primary category for those sub listings. But it's a bit early. Like this is what I found, and it's been a few weeks that it's been rolled out, but it's possible that Google can turn the dial back a little bit, right? Maybe they see like, oh my gosh, like all these stores are it jumbled up the rankings too much, and we're gonna undo a little bit of what we did, which is typical. Usually it's done by now, a couple weeks after, but I wouldn't make any business decisions, but it's something that I wanted to make sure that you guys knew, so that if you did see some shifting in the ranks, I think it's the primary category that is the factor that has been adjusted here. And so you can take a look. It took me many hours. I'm presenting this in 10 minutes worth of time, but this is 5-6 hours of work to really, I'm not going to present stuff. Oh, I'm guessing, I think. No, this is like, I have hardcore data to back up my claims here, because when I'm consulting for $1 million business, I can't be guessing. I have to know what I'm talking about here. So I'm giving that same information to you because you are attending the webinar. We'll keep going to our local. Yeah, well, I could take questions about this if there's any questions.
Well, we have a bunch of questions. The first question that I wanted to address is just somebody had to go, they had an emergency, and they said, will there be a recording? There will be a recording, and you guys will receive it. And then Jan, can you do me a favor, and in the webinar chat is the Facebook group and then Stacy's information. Can you copy and paste that into the chat, into the chat for everybody, so that when I'm giving this information out? So we'll go through all these questions. We have a ton of them, good questions. And I just wanted to remind you guys, on top of office hours, also please join our private Facebook group where conversation happens outside of the webinars. People ask questions, and Jan does moderate that conversation. So he's going to put the link for Facebook in, and we can actually right now, if you click on it and ask to join, we'll let you in right now. And then the other thing is, if you have questions pertaining to any of this stuff regarding getting set up on DBA platform, it used to be that you could go and create an account just from our website. As we've started to serve more enterprise-sized businesses with more complex like consulting and requirements, Now you really need to talk to a salesperson to figure out what you're going to do on DBA platform. So I wanted to let you know about Stacy's information too. So I have Stacy, who is our sort of front-facing salesperson, who talks and explains what people need. So if you have questions about how this can help you, you'll want the demo link for Stacy to get on her calendar, or if you just have a question for her, you'll want her email. It's easy. It's Stacy@dbaplatform.com. Stacy with an E, but Jan's going to put that in the webinar chat today.
Yeah.
Today, Jan, because we had screen sharing issues, Jan is the host, so he's got to wear all the hats, and he's pretty good at it. All right. So did we get that in?
Speaking of the face, yeah. So for the Facebook, I just want to log in there because before I started the webinar, I have a full write-up. This is just a really brief summary of what I've just explained to you. I have a larger write-up that I created, that I wrote. There's an article posted in the Facebook group that you can go and find that, and then you'll get a little bit more robust information and more screenshots and more information about what I've just shared about the primary category factor here.
Okay, now the first question today represents the question that we always get asked, which is something along the variety of, hey, how do I rank locally if I don't have a presence there? So the answer to that is it's really tough, and you're probably better off with ads, but let's dig into it one more time. So Martin is asking, how do I increase ranking for a city near me in which I don't have an office presence? I was told it's best to have a physical address in that location. Profiles with no reviews or activity are outranking mine and pushing me to the bottom.
Yeah, so you can make sure your service area is set to that, encompasses that area. You can try, if you have any clients that might be close to that area, you can ask them for reviews, and they Google will know like where those people are, and so it'll help increase the data information about the listing. Maybe ask for reviews to mention that area. Anything that can help like that on your profile can, slowly, it'll take time. You got to get multiple mentions and reviews and driving directions from people coming from that area. That all helps. Of course, it's hard to get that in initially when you don't have anyone coming from there. So create a landing page for that location. So whatever service plus area, make sure you have those kind of pages up on your website, and then make sure that you're linking. So if you have your home, let's say your listing goes to your website field as your home page, and you want to try to increase the relevancy of a different location, link from your home page to that page that's talking about that other location. So we want to try to reduce the amount of steps that Google can take when it's crawling your website to find. It's like, oh, well, they're talking about XYZ town right away, then we're going to like boost you up for that town potentially. So there's a lot of little things. There's no one quick answer. It's a lot of little things that will take time to be able to do.
Okay, and I just wanted to remind everybody, find your Q&A controls on Zoom, and if you read through some of these questions and you find that they are interesting or pertain to you, upvote them so that we get to those first, because I'm taking the most upvoted questions in order. So Maria asked, I created a couple of Google business profiles for clients. Google is now asking for live video verification, which is an inconvenience for home service clients. I can't change it to email or text verification. Contacted Google and they said verification method is random. Any suggestions?
Yeah, unfortunately, there's not much. I meet with Google once a week with the other product experts, and they actually just last Friday specifically said to us that support agents cannot change the method of verification. So even if you ask them, they can't, just the way the system is set up. So whatever the system gives you is what you have to do. Filling out the profile a little bit more. So while you're setting up a new location, or a new listing, if you, there's steps. It says, what's your phone number, what's your address, and it's asking you to fill out the profile as you go along. If you hit skip, and I'll do that later when I'm done, basically you just told Google, I don't know anything. So they're going to want the highest level of check, which is the video verification. But if you go through the profile and start adding things, your phone number and address and all whatever it's asking you for, now Google has information to match against its data bank of things, and it might give you a verification method that requires less of a strict method, which might be a phone, or it might be postcard, it might even be immediate, right? Depending on what it already knows about your business. So once you start the process, you have, fill it out, and then it'll give you what it gives you, and then there's not really any choice once it's there.
Makes sense. And I could see where for a lot of third parties, if you're just kind of setting up the structure for people and leaving it, it's empty. And then that would be a great flag for Google to say, oh, let's put a little stronger verification on this.
That's right.
So Shannon asked, for service area businesses, does the service area in your Google business profile impact rankings? If so, is it a significant ranking factor? I manage many locations and need to prioritize updates.
This one's difficult because I've seen some people that have done tests that say it does, and some say it doesn't. It's hard to parse out. I think it has a little bit. And I think what happens is that sometimes Google tweaks it, or for lack of other factors, this one might take more precedence. So it's not like it's a set thing for each individual listing. But I do think it is, if it's only a small one, it's a small one, but sometimes it makes a little bit more of a difference. Fill out everything in your profile. Like, yes, it takes time, but if that's the difference between getting extra calls and not getting calls, fill it out. And even if it's, let's say it's not even something that works now, if it's not a ranking factor now, Google is always changing. So in a month, it might be a ranking factor and it's already filled out. You don't have to think about it. So when you're filling out the profile, just do the extra effort and give it the information that it wants, and you'll get the benefits. If it's not now, it will be later, because they will use that information somehow. So it's just hard to do testing to prove it sometimes.
Okay, so Maria asked, I've heard mixed information regarding geotagging images. What are your thoughts on geotagging with tools such as tool.geoimager.com?
So the typical answer I give here, and it's a common question because it's an old school practice, it used to work. 100% used to work, and so there's lots of information out there. But if you're reading a blog article that's a few years old, they're going to say it works, but now there's no evidence that it works. However, you can't find evidence because if it does work, it's such a small, teeny tiny factor that you can't test it. I can't isolate that and really test it out. And so, for example, like DBA platform will geotag the image when you upload an image, and it'll tag it with the location information and all that stuff. But it does that automatically. You're not doing extra work. So my basic answer is it probably doesn't do anything. So don't go ahead and start manually adding through another site, adding all that information. If a platform like DBA platform is doing it automatically for you, then great, leave it. It's never going to hurt you, but don't manually waste your time, because you can do better things with your time than manually adding the geotags.
Zach asked, if the market is super saturated locally, for example, chiropractors, is it worth trying to rank on the local pack? Since the proximity update, it seems that you can only rank within a small radius around your physical location.
So one of the things I do with that kind of question is I would go and look at, if you're using Local Falcon, what I do is I go on Local Falcon, I run a search for the whole area, and I will look at the competitor report. And on the competitor report, I can see everyone's basically strength bubble. So I can see like everywhere where people are green and where the fall off is. If Google is generally giving everyone a small bubble, then I know that Google says, well, no, proximity is more important for this kind of category because it changes depending on the categories or the town location. Like if you're rural or urban, for example, if everyone has a small like area of coverage, then I know it's going to be very difficult to expand that out, and we have to think of different strategies. But if one client, if like one listing is green everywhere, covers the whole area, and the second one is like almost covers the whole area, and you're a little small one and you can't get any presence there, but that tells me that, well, a couple people do have a huge presence. That means it's possible to expand mine, right? So I have to know before I start, is it even possible to go further, push my bubble out, or it's not? So that would be the first part of the like analysis phase that I would do is to check that kind of thing.
Okay, I'm gonna jump out of order here because Amy asked a clarifying question. This has to do with when we were talking about the DBA platform, and I was mentioning this new feature called Quick Actions. That's a slider that comes out and gives you the things that you probably normally want to interact with. And she said, how do we get to that? Because she doesn't see it. And it's simply on the menu. You were asking about under locations. So on that screen, there's a left-hand menu, and at the bottom of it, there's a little lightning bolt in a circle. That's how you get to your quick actions. So hopefully Amy was there to get that question answered. Go back to the top here. So Abigail asks, for a service area business mobile, is there any benefit in adding or having a physical location on our GMB profile, for example, an office space where services are not regularly provided? Does that help with local ranking at all?
So I've seen some testing that says that, recent testing that says showing the address will often get you ranked higher. Because when you show your address, there's additional information that Google can potentially get. People might be doing driving directions, or if you without going through all the details. I've seen things where someone has a SAB, they've shown the address, and then all of a sudden their rankings go up. So, and that's because Google is now associating more. It's like something got switched on, and now you're ranking better. So it's a possibility. Again, a lot of times it's category specific, and so it takes testing individually for each one of these. Like when people ask me questions like that, it's possible that showing your address will get you more visibility but you have to go through the effort. You got to get an office, you got to put a signage, you got to re-verify a lot of times, because now Google's going to want to check your address if you're showing it. So there's some cost to that, and it's not 100% guaranteed that your visibility will increase, but I've seen enough testing to say that it does happen often when they put their address back in instead of hiding their address. So yeah, that's the basic. It can work, but it's not guaranteed to work.
So here's a good one. This is a brain teaser from Jess. I mainly manage Google business profiles for car dealerships. When searching a competitor on Google Maps on mobile, I saw that they had text pulled from a recent post right under where the hours show up, normally where things like in-store shopping or delivery are located. Any tips for making this show up for my clients, or is it just up to Google what they pick to show?
So usually those they're little snippets, and sometimes they could be reviews, sometimes they could be things from your website, sometimes it's something from a Google post, and Google will change that depending on the query. So if you search whatever you search for, and then they had a Google post exactly about that, or mentioned that specific keyword, Google might say, oh, this is really relevant, we're going to pull it into the 3-pack underneath their name, right? So it's going to pull in that little snippet because it matched exactly the Google post. And that's another reason why Google posts are important. You want to vary your Google posts and have keywords in your post, and different, if you have lots of different services, because you never know how Google is going to use that information. Not only is it helping your engagement because people click on it and the time on the profile and people clicking, that helps the engagement, which is a ranking factor. But it also can help conversions when Google's pulling that information and showing it elsewhere. And like I said, Google is always changing, and sometimes it'll show on mobile, maybe not on desktop, maybe vice versa. So it's really hard to measure where all these little pieces fill out. And that's why always fill out all your information, regardless of how teeny tiny you think it is. Google might be using it somewhere, and it might help you. So yeah, create Google posts, and if you want to schedule those, DBA platform will definitely make your life more efficient, especially if you have more than one listing.
Yeah, I was just having this conversation Wednesday with our CEO, Chris. We were talking about how we always say the main things that you're looking at for SEO are going to be relevance, prominence, and proximity. So how close the business is, how much the question and the information that the website offers are related, and then the prominence. So, Google will probably display, Dick's Sporting Goods over somebody's sporting blog that they do out of their basement, so those are the things. But the other big factor is the user. And I mean, it's been that way for a long time. We know that Google takes into account your browser history and things like that, but we're learning that it's much, much more. So how things are displayed for one person versus another are so different. And if you guys are agency and you work for other people, you know that your clients will ask you all the time, why did this show up like this? How come my competitor showed up? How come my ad didn't show up? And the thing is, they're kind of they're trying to create what would be a normal browsing experience and see if their stuff shows up. Did I show up in the 3-pack? Did this happen? Did that happen? But the thing is, the fact that you are who you are changes. And I know when Yan does his research, he has to jump through a lot of hoops to change locations and IP addresses and whatever, so that he can represent some kind of blind browsing. But that's almost not even relevant anymore because of how much it does matter who you are and what you've done and what your behavioral indicators show. So it's funny how things display now, and people have a lot of questions about that, and it's really hard to answer. So Thomas asked, does creating a Google map with points that use keywords and links to the website help with ranking at all?
I'm not sure I understand. So let me see that. Does creating a Google map with points that use keywords and links to... Oh, is that when are you talking about those pins where you're creating all those pins? I don't see any I haven't seen any evidence that works anymore. It used to work. If that's what we're talking about, it's you can go on Fiverr and you can say, we'll create a whole map, and there's lots of pins everywhere, referencing your business, and there's all kind of keywords. It's more of a black hat thing. Anything that could be done in bulk like that, usually Google will discount eventually, right? And at this point, I think that strategy's been out for many, many years, and it doesn't work at least as good as it used to. I wouldn't spend time on things like that, because
eventually you're going to get
if something could be automated, it's going to get killed. It's going to get overused. Google's systems are going to pick it up, and then boom, that strategy's dead. So that's usually what happened.
So John asks, services are important to add, but how important is it to add a description to the service?
Oh, actually, yeah, I just did a test. I didn't release this one yet. Where I'll just answer this quickly. Yes, descriptions the keywords in the description can help things show up in different places. So add the descriptions. If you're having trouble writing descriptions, go to the ChatGPT and say, write a 2-paragraph description about this, and then boom, 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 just copy paste it in. that's an efficient use of your time. It's not a huge ranking factor, but in very specific instances, I've seen those keywords make a difference.
Ian would like to know, how important are citations these days?
I still think they're important, because when I'm looking around the maps and I see businesses that are just like I showed previously, there's businesses there's a listing, it's an unclaimed listing. The business doesn't even know that it exists. Maybe the business has been closed for a while. That means that Google crawled the web, found some kind of data source, and said, oh, somebody somewhere important says this business exists. We're going to create a listing, and hopefully the business owner will come and claim it. But we're going to create the listing for the users that might want to find it ahead of time without even the business owner knowing. So Google uses sources out there to create listings, which means that it is reading all that other extra stuff. I think it's important.
Cool. Citations important. Yeah. Kind of a must-have thing.
Yeah.
And probably
Yeah.
depending on the industry, it becomes even more important. I mean, like, directories and citations in healthcare, that's huge. I mean, that's how people find you. People don't go find, doctors on like a doctor's website or even their practice website. They find them through other listings, through their insurance, through whatever. So, I mean, in certain industries, that kind of thing is like paramount.
All right. I'll go next. There's are there any bugs on SAB listings? I see as a question here. There was a bug that was where something going to show up, but it's apparently fixed as of a couple of weeks ago. So this is for Jeffy Cushman on the chat there. If there's something specific, I would go to the Google forum or share it in the Facebook group, and maybe I can help explain what's going on. But right now, there aren't, like I mentioned before, there aren't any large bugs affecting lots of people, which is the ones that I'll find out about. So there's always little bugs that can affect people, so it's possible.
Eric asked, our location's verification was approved, but then immediately suspended. What would cause this? No reason was given. What tips do you have?
So that happens with categories that are under duress, they call it. So locksmiths, garage door repair or installation, whatever. Some of this really spammy categories will have a secondary level of verification. So you go through the normal process, and then all of a sudden you verify, you think you're good, and then boom, it's suspended again. There's an extra level of verification. Usually it's on the category level. If you're not in one of those like SAB spammy categories, then it could have been something in your information, or it could have been a glitch, which does happen sometimes. So that would be an explanation. The answer is fill out the reinstatement form and contact support, and just go through the normal process.
So here's an interesting one. Anonymous says, should I say Porsche dealer or car dealer for the primary category, or keep it broad? Porsche is making us say Porsche dealer as primary category.
That's where you have to test. It's difficult to give an answer. SEO is always testing. We're always testing, tweaking. Run your local Falcon scans. Run 3-4 scans on car dealer, Porsche dealer near me. Take your main keywords. Run those scans. Update your category, and then 3 days later, run the scans again and see what changed. Some keywords might have went up, some went down, maybe none went down, maybe all of them went up. You have to test. It's really hard, because if you adjust the primary category, it's going to affect the balance, but maybe some are more important than others. So you might lose on some and gain on others, and that's more important for your sales, right? So that's where you have to know ahead of time what you want, and then you have to test which one works best for that.
Another anonymous question. Google continues to automatically add dozens of services to my Google Places listing. I delete irrelevant ones, but do I need to worry about the endlessly longer list of services that is being created?
If they're relevant, leave them. If Google's adding them, usually they'll pull it either from other listings that have like the same category. They're like, oh, well, these guys have it, so we'll put it on yours. Or sometimes it'll just automatically add because it's finding stuff from your website. And that's why I know that the website's still important. But delete the ones that don't make sense and make sure that they read well. Like make sure you address it. If it says like provides, that happens all the time. We make fun of it, like with injury lawyers, it'll say provides injuries, right? So obviously, like say injury lawyer services, you want to make sure that it reads properly. But yeah, you should delete the ones that are irrelevant or don't make sense, and leave the
The
ones
list
that
can
do
be
make
as
sense.
long, the list can just go on forever as long as they're relevant.
There, yeah, like you can put a lot of variation in there. You can also add one, like you can also add emojis to yours if there's an emoji that makes sense. You can add the same service, but this time put an emoji. That way, when it comes up in the 3-pack, now you have an extra little color that can catch the eye and help the click-through rate. There's lots of little things you can do with the services, but yeah, remove the ones that don't make sense.
And what emoji would you use to describe your service? What would you put in your listing, Ian?
Oh, I don't know. I put like a star, you could put a star or something that's a little bit different, or maybe something that's red, because there's not a lot of red in the SERP. So like the 3-pack has the yellow stars, but there's maybe you want a red because red will catch the eye. So you're gonna pick an emoji that's a generic emoji that's red or something. People's eyes will catch that a little bit more.
Yeah.
But if you're a plumber or something, there might be one for you. If you're working on a service area business, you might want to put the little house emoji or something that has red in it. There's lots of little tweaks that we do, and it takes time to do that, but it helps with the click-through rate a lot.
So I see we're out of time, and we do still have 31 open questions in here, which is a lot. But we will come back next month and we will answer more questions. And every time we do this, Ian and I always say, like, all right, we will keep the content short, and so we can get into the questions and answer the questions that you really care about. And part of the reason that Luke is here is because he writes our knowledge base articles. So he is going to comb through these questions and make knowledge base articles that address some of these things for you, which is why it's a good reason to get into the Facebook group, and obviously, keep attending our webinars, and we'll keep bringing you the best information that we have and hold nothing back. So I think our next one will be scheduled for like 3rd week of May, and you'll get an invitation for that. You'll receive the recording. And again, please join the Facebook group, which you should have in your chat. You should have a link there. And then Stacy Hatcher, if you want to talk more about how DBA platform can work for you, get a meeting with Stacy, or you can email her directly with your questions. And we will catch you guys next month. Thank you so much for being here with us today.